Welcome to People Love Process. Now, unlike my normal content, I pretty much spend quite a bit of time making sure that the production value is going to work great. And I'm always thinking as I'm figuring out content, what exactly am I going to show? And then I break down the process. You guys are used to that by now. This one's a little different. This last week was so busy. I had all these projects that were kind of on hold and I was waiting for feedback. And so, in between stuff like that, I jump on smaller projects to get those done or progress those a little forward. And then, on the same day, like within 48 hours, 4 or 5 of these projects just come back to life. And of course, the way clients tend to work at times is they think as soon as they're ready, you're ready, you know? So I had all these overlapping deadlines and I had to jump on everything. I didn't get a lot of time to spend on content. And so I was originally going to record something else, but I decided to kind of shelve that. I'll get back to that. It's all ready to go, by the way, but I'll get back to that one when the timing, I think, is going to be a little better. I decided to create something this morning before I even recorded. Usually I try to have it ready by Saturday morning. That's when I usually record new content. And so what I'm going to do in this one's a little different. And with that said, let's go ahead and get things started. It all starts for drawing with me, and I don't have anything pre-baked here. I have things set up to kind of show you how you can approach something, and it's really fun. That's why I wanted to do this one, because I feel like just having a little fun after crunching work-based or client-based projects all week long. I just wanted to do something that's a little more free-spirited, if you will. So this is a symmetric drawing I did. Anytime I say symmetric, just means I only draw half of it because I can flip it. So this is what I drew out. It's almost like a tribal kind of looking design. It has a border treatment on it. And of course, I scan this in with my flatbed scanner, this right here, and then bring it into Photoshop, and I just reflect it to make sure it's going to look the way it wants. Now, I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I love Pacific Northwest art, and this is kind of stylized somewhat like that. Not exactly, but that's kind of what I had in mind when I was doodling this out. So another thing I did, which years ago, my daughter Savannah, as she was growing up, I always encouraged her to draw. And I distinctly remember when she was 11, she drew some funky character kind of walking down a sidewalk. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. She is 11 years old. And just happened at the time, my mom had sent me a box of all these old drawings she found of mine. And one of them was from when I was in 6th grade and I was 11 years old. I believe it was 6th grade. I might be wrong on that account, but I was 11 because my mom was really good about writing on the back of all my artwork that she saved how old I was. And I was 11. I go, Savannah, go get that drawing, because I was looking through the box and I saw that. I go get that drawing you showed me yesterday. And she did, and she brought it back, and I laid it side by side with mine at 11. And I said, look, I can tell you right now, look at these two drawings. Which one's just better technically? Hers was way better than mine at 11. I said, you stick with this, you're going to smoke me when you get older. Or by the time you get my age, you're going to be unbelievably good. So she stuck with it, and in my opinion, she's a better core drawer than I am. She does it all the time. That's kind of why she doesn't work with me full time anymore. She's freelancing as an illustrator. And the reason why I bring that up is as she started drawing, she started discovering all these things she loves. And one of them was these brush pens that were Japanese she showed me years ago, and I fell in love with them. They're awesome. Why? Because I can take a base drawing like this, and then I just put it on my light pad. The light pad is just a thin, I don't know, half an inch tall light box, basically. I put this drawing on it printed out, and then I put a sheet of just regular copy paper on top of it. And I use these Japanese brush pens to ink out. So this just shows the line quality you can get because the nib on these is like a brush. That's why they're called brush pens. But I buy these specific brands from a website called Jet Pens, jetpens.com. It's a Japanese company. I'm assuming you could probably get these elsewhere, but I always order it from the same place. And it doesn't take that long, just right across from the Pacific. I'm on the Pacific coast, so they get here pretty quick. But I just love these, and they last quite a long time. They don't, I mean, if you do a huge illustration with these or whatever, yeah, you'll suck the juice right out of them. But I just love doing artwork like this. So this is what I kind of inked out. And then, of course, I take this, I scan it into my flatbed scanner, and then I'm able to get a nice scanned inked image. Now, the only difference between this and what I showed you that I drew out initially is in Photoshop, this edge was a little too smooth. So I went in and scumbled this up, added a little scumble right there. But other than that, everything else is exactly as I scanned it in. But this is a scanned in bitmap TIFF. All a bitmap TIFF means it only has black pixels and white pixels. And I find that when you image trace something, these look best. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to image trace this. So I'm going to go to Window. I'll go down to Image Trace. That'll bring up this here. And on this one, we want to go to Advanced. And we want to make sure Ignore Color is checked. And right now it's white. So it'll ignore all the white in this design because technically the background and all these white gaps in between the black that you see of the ink drawing is all white pixels. And it will, you want it to ignore those. Otherwise, you're going to get the background in it as well. And we don't really need that. We just care about getting the white. Now, to scan it, I'm going to scan this really tight. So I'm going to go all the way to 100 on paths, noise all the way to the left. And I think that's everything. So we'll just click trace with that set. I leave this by default, just as it's showing. And we'll hit trace. It'll image trace it. Now you can expand it here. Or if you want, you could go up to if you have the control panel turned on, you can expand it up here. So we'll go ahead and just use the control panel like that. We can close our image trace. We're done with that. And so you can see it's going to add quite a bit of anchor points. If you look over here on my Astute Graphics, I use their plugin Vector Scribe, and on the Path Scribe panel, it says there's 6,356. That's not too bad. And we can resolve that it's hard to see the art. You can go Command H to hide that preview. So you still have it selected. And this is the reason why I don't keep this on all the time, because I want to see my anchor points most of the time. In this case, if I turn it back on, it kind of obstructs the artwork a bit. So it's okay to hide those, Command H. But we're just going to zoom in on a few of these things. So, we have some little stragglers like this one in here. So let's go ahead and bring those up again. So I would highlight stuff like that. We have little ones in here. So you're going to get little artifacts like this when you image trace. And I tend to try to clean those up. So if I zoom in, this is everything we've done. And if we select this, we can clean it up a little bit. Now, Illustrator's Simplify features didn't always work that well. I mean, for years, it was like, really? That has no grace whatsoever. They've improved it quite a bit. So we're going to go to Object. We're going to go to Shape, Path, and Simplify. Like this. Now, you might see a thin little thing pop up. By the way, the reason why I'm staring at the camera a lot in this one is because I don't have any notes. Usually I have notes and things to reference so I don't forget, and I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing this as if I'm just sitting at my desk messing around. So no notes, but on the simplify, you won't see this full panel unless you click into it. And I don't know why they simplified the simplify UI. That was the dumbest decision. Other than that, it works pretty good. So let's go over here. So you can see right now with just 65% settings on the simplify curve and the corner point angle threshold, you might be saying, well, what does that mean? I don't really know the algorithm behind it, although it balances between sharp and corner, and you adjust how smooth you want it, how sharp you want it. And this one, in my opinion, looks pretty good. So you can see it's reduced it from 6,346 to 2,381. So it's cleaned it up quite a bit. And this is where, actually, I forgot to do something that I should probably do. So all we're going to do, we're going to go cancel. And I'm just going to go Command H to hide this, just so we can see the art. So this is what it looks like with 6,346 anchor points. And now if we go back to Path and Simplify and bring up this window, this is what it's going to look like with 2,381. So if we go down here to the preview, we can click off preview and it'll show us what it was and what it's going to. And you can see, you can see a few little areas where it's moving, but I think this is fine. So we're just going to click OK. So like I said, I give Adobe a lot of flack when they half bake features. I mean, they're a billion-dollar company. They need that kind of feedback. Everybody just giving them little golf claps every time they do something new, regardless of how actually useful it is, doesn't help anybody. It's just lazy development, in my opinion. But when they do something right, I think we should equally say, hey, they did a pretty good job with this. Simplify. So in that respect, I like it. It's one of the best updated features in quite a while, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and go with Command H so we unhide that, because now we can see it. So what do I do at this point? Well, what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to go to Object, I'm going to go to Compound, and I'm going to go to Release. Like that. We might have to ungroup it a few times. I'm going to deselect the outermost shape here, and all these interior shapes are just floating on top of this background black shape. So all of these, I'm just going to go ahead and color these white, because these are just white shapes sitting on top of this black background. So that's how I separate it, and now I can colorize it. What I want to do here is I want to color all these base colors, and then I want to show you how I go about doing some fun detailing. So in terms of coloring, I have no idea. Usually I might pick a few and then show you what I ended up doing. In this case, you just get to see me kind of struggle with it. So I think we'll make his nose this color, and I'll probably go light color here. Maybe a darker color down here. Try to balance colors as I go along. I think we'll do like a green. Put a green there. Might bring this up here. Like this. Again, you're going to have artifacts. Here's another little artifact. As you find them, actually, if we go into Keyline View, this is probably the easiest way to find those. I can see a few right now. You can see we have one here, so I would just, or wait, that's the center point of the background shape. We'll delete that. We'll delete this. Here's one down here. Probably should have done this before I started coloring. We got a few, so we'll just select them. Are they going to cause problems? No, not really. But, you know, I do try to clean stuff up as I go along. This, by the way, is the center point marker on that background shape. So we don't want, if you delete that, you're going to delete this shape right here. So we'll just get rid of all these artifacts. I mean, if a few get through, they're probably not even going to show when you digitize or print something out. Okay, I think we got all of. Oh, I just saw one before I zoomed out. Right down here. There we go. Okay, I think we got all of them. Go back to preview. By the way, if you don't know how to go into keyline view, it's just Command Y. And sometimes it's easier to isolate things. The one thing Illustrator's, I don't know how they managed to screw up selecting, but if you're not at a certain zoom ratio, it's like almost impossible to select something. I notice when you have something like an image masked into a shape, if that masked image is close to the edge of the shape of the vector mask you've used, it's impossible to just select the vector. It's driving me nuts lately. I hate that. So there's my gripe for this movie about Adobe. So Adobe's, it's a love-hate relationship. So let's see. What we need to work some blues into this. So let's go down here. I think these I'll make green. So I try to balance how much color. So the nose is big, so I only put red here. I think this could be this orange. Let's try a different color. Purple, maybe? Maybe more solid. I like that. Maybe that'll be purple, and we'll make this purple. Maybe it has purple nostrils. His eyes are important. I'll leave the white of his eyes white. I don't think or maybe I'll make that off-white. Maybe his eyes should be this color. Then his eyelids will be the turquoise. I think I like that. Maybe we make those turquoise. That. I think I like that. This I'm not so sure about. And by the way, this doesn't have to be black. Maybe we go like, nah, I don't like dark blue. Or maybe just darker dark blue. Add more black to it. That's not bad, but I think a warm color would look better. Let's try. That's not bad. Kind of like that. Now that we have that, maybe we do a tannish color like there. Let's work that in down here. Okay. This red might be just a little dark. Let's go one. Okay. And then I think what I'm going to do here is I'll start with like this color, then I'll go with this color. I don't know what the count is here, so this might not work the way I'm thinking, but we'll try. And we'll go here, then we'll go here, then green, and then red. This might not work, but I'll just see where it ends up with. It'll be a nice happy accident if it does. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ah, okay, we're not gonna, that's not gonna work. So let me think of another thing to do. Like, I don't like this. I don't want that because I don't like having colors that close to the same color anywhere in the design. So I don't want any of these colors. So maybe this could be that color, then this. And I don't want to that's an idea. I'm going to try some. I like yellow, kind of that yellowish color being there. Maybe it needs to be brighter. Oh, we don't really have a blue. Maybe we could, ooh, that's not bad. Let's make that more, add more red. I kind of like that. I'm not sure I like this. Let's see, dark blue. Now I like dark blue. Okay. But maybe I'm thinking because we have this blue, I'm going to bring some of that into this. I think this needs to be a little darker. More. I think that's okay. The purple's kind of bugging me. Maybe we can adjust the color. Okay. I think this is, I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut Option F1 to select all the same color of something I have selected. By the way, that saves so much time rather than going select, same color fill. I have Option F1 and then I do the same for stroke colors, Option F2. So again, keyboard shortcuts will save you a lot of time. I was thinking originally that if I select every other one, I don't know if my spacing on this or the count would make this work too well. Oh, it does. Okay. Ooh, I like that. Okay, I'm going to go with that, but I'm going to unite all those so it's one compound shape. Select these, deselect the little detail areas. Unite that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have fun. This is, I want to show you a tool that a lot of you probably don't use a lot, but it surprisingly works well. It's the Blob brush tool. Kind of a weird tool, but if you double click into it, if you have keep selected on, actually, let's do a few things so I can show you what this means. Let's go like this. We'll take this, color it blue, and we'll go to the blob brush. You determine how big you want it. Let's go 4. And this is how accurate. Do you want it to be accurate, or do you want it to auto smooth where the algorithm decides it needs to over smooth it? I at least try it like this first, and then I might bump it up a little bit because it has set settings. There's only 4 settings. Completely accurate, some close to accurate, middle, 75% smooth, completely smooth. Completely smooth, in my opinion, just looks like a over image traced piece of clip art. So that's not great. So I usually start accurate. Now, keep selected means, well, if you have merge only selection, it'll only merge your blob brush with whatever you have selected. Or if you have that unselected, then it won't merge with the selected item like this square. So let's go ahead and leave this unchecked. So if I take this and I go ahead and draw this out like this, that's all it's done. Oh, what? I thought I said not to do that. Hold on. Maybe I might have gotten that backward. Oh, okay. Merge only with selection, like that. So if I don't have anything selected and I go like this, it'll just create whatever you want. But if I have something selected and I do this, then it's going to merge it with the selection. So whichever way you prefer. I prefer not merging with the selection because I use this to do what I'm going to show you next, which is detailing. We're going to use a color we're not using, which is this pink color. And all these tiles here, I'm going to select this one, make a copy of both, Command-C, Command-F, and I'm going to color it again. Another color I'm not using, which is like this. This is a lip color, for lack of a better term. It's like a soft, fleshy pink color. Use it for lips or inside of mouths or whatever if I'm illustrating like this. And we're just going to go ahead and unite these. We'll click that and make sure it's a compound path. Okay, why'd I do that? Because now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a shading value. And this is where you need to determine what's your light source going to be. So if your light source is coming from kind of the top front, shining down, then you're going to have highlights at the top and your shadows are going to run underneath. And I think that's what we're going to do here just to keep it somewhat simple. So I'll take this, I'm going to select this magenta, and then I'm going to zoom in because it's easier to show you this more zoomed in. So with that in mind, I think the brush needs to be a little smaller. So let's go to like 3 and click. I think that works good. So I'm just going to go like this. Now the inside part, we can just select and delete. And this is going to be what I use with intersect here on the Pathfinder to create the bottom shading here. Now, if you really want to do this with more precision than kind of what I'm doing it, you could just focus on one at a time, and you could go to a smaller brush. Smaller brush will allow you to easily control it a little more, but it goes a little slower. So if you go to, probably easier, just type in 2 like this, then you might want to, on this one, keep it like this, go like this, and that's how the shadow would work on this one. And this is where I'll just focus on each one, usually like this, and I don't worry about the inside until I get ready to create the actual end shape. So this isn't going to go super fast. So what I'll probably do is I'll show a few of these examples and then I'll time lapse the rest. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, I have to, what? Oh, I accidentally, okay. Okay, so it's, see, I don't know if that was that preview bug that's still in Illustrator where things look like they disappear, but if you redraw the screen, they're still there. I think that's what just happened. I think on this one, I want this, since it's getting towards the bottom, to be over here instead. And then you would get the bottom part like that. That'll look better. And then as it's down to here, look at this again. This is a pretty loose style. And I'm just doing this with my mouse. If you have like a Wacom tablet, it would go a lot faster and it'd be easier to do this. I'm just winging it with my mouse. But it's not that bad. It works pretty good even if you don't have a stylus to draw this out. Like that. Again, what did I do over here? Okay. And the only reason I'm using this color is it's not being used anywhere in the design. And I don't want to forget to edit something because, believe it or not, I get so easily distracted. It's ludicrous at times. And I know that I get distracted, so I try to make things obvious because as I'm working, I'm usually listening to an audiobook, so I might not be completely focused on the task at hand, and I'll kind of lose my place where I'm at in the process as I'm working on something. So I've been known to do that. So I try to make everything pretty straightforward so I can track. That looked bad. So Command Z if you don't like it. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit so we can see all the shapes we made. So I'll just take these inner shapes that we don't need and just select them with direct select and just hit the delete key. You'll have to hit it a couple times. So direct select to select it, delete key 1, delete key 2, and that's how I get rid of them. No reason to zoom in as long as you can select them when you're at this kind of viewable range. So this is all the raw shapes like that. So I'd select all these magenta shapes and let's go and unite them, turn it into a compound. So it's a compound shape. This is a compound shape. And we'll select both and we'll go intersect and it trims them all to the shadow shapes we want. And I'm going to go ungroup because some of these have to work on blue. Some of them have to work on this kind of teal color. So the teal color is this right here. So if I select this and go to color, you can see the breakdown here. Click on CMYK. That's the mode we're working in. It's easier, in my opinion, to mix colors in CMYK and know that these are the colors you can pretty much get if you move to a printed piece. RGB, you can come up with some killer colors, but it's way outside the gamut of reproducing it in a printed format that looks as good as screen. So I'd rather limit myself to CMYK and then export out to RGB when needed. It's just expectation-wise, it aligns a lot easier because you can do stuff in RGB where it just looks awesome and you can never get it to look that way in print, and that's really frustrating. So here we have 70. I'm going to knock it down by half. So we'll go to 35, knock down the value of yellow by half. So something like 22, 21, something like that. So this is a muted value of the teal. In this case, we want to add some black to it. So I'm going to add 10. I don't think we'll try adding a whole lot. We'll go to swatch. We'll add that here. Click global. And so on all of these, we'll select all the ones that are going over the teal, the shadow shapes like this. With all those selected, I'm going to unite them. So we'll unite them. I hit my F7 key because right now they're just a group. So I want to change them to a compound. I'll color it the muted value of that color, and you can see it almost looks like a highlight now. Well, that's because we haven't applied a blend mode. Blend mode will go to transparency palette. We'll set it to multiply, and it'll work for the shadow. Now, this one, I think we got a little too faint. So to improve it, we can go into this. We can bump up the black a bit, maybe 5 more of the black. That looks better, but I think maybe a little more blue back in like that. And I think that looks good. Click OK, and that's how you can create a shadow value. Now, if you want to control the intensity, the value of that color, you can just go to, maybe you want to knock off 5%. You can go here 10%. If you go 95%, let's say, in terms of the opacity, then that's how you can control the value of it. So let's do the same thing on the shadowing for the blue. And then I think from that point, I will just do a time lapse of all the shading. I might stop as I do certain aspects of the shading, but we'll select all these again. We'll go unite, turn into a compound path, and let's go ahead and go to the blue color we have here, to the color panel. Let's create a shading hue. So we'll knock this down 40, knock this to 15. We'll add 15 maybe to this. Maybe we go to 20. We'll go 20. And then we'll add this shading hue, change it to global. Global just means you'll be able to edit it later without having to select any of the shapes. So it's just smart to always default to global. We'll color this. You can see it mutes it. Then to turn it into shading, we go to the blend mode multiply. And I think that looks good. And this is a case where you can control it. Maybe it's a little too dark. You can go 85%, knock off 15, and you have a good shading going on. Now, that same principle would apply in this case to the highlight. And we can actually, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to the blob brush. Let's go to white since we'll be kind of using white. And I'm just going to draw. You know, I'm not going to do that. That's taking a shortcut. Let's work out one more in that, and I'll show you both the shading and the highlighting on that. We'll do the eye here. We'll do the white of the eye and the pupil of the eye as well. So this guy has golden eyes. That sounds like a James Bond flick. Well, it was a James Bond flick. Why am I talking golden eye? Or no, Goldfinger. Goldeneye was a James Bond video game, wasn't it? With Pierce Brosnan during that time period. That was a cool game, actually. Okay. Oops. Shading goes this way. Okay. Like that. We can also use this to do the highlight. Highlight, I just want a little thinner. Like that. I want some shading on the eye, so I'm going to go like this. That will use the same blue in our design, but make it a tint. We can go ahead and shade that. Oh, there's, see, I didn't even see these little artifacts. So as you zoom in, your focus and stuff, you might catch those. You can fix them. Oh, that was from the shading I created. Oops. So take your time. Don't go slow. Or don't go too fast. Go slow enough to do it precisely. We'll go ahead and just create the shading on this one too. On this top brow here. And get rid of the inside shapes. And let's go ahead and do this one here. So this will give you a good idea of how everything works together. And this is also a good reason why I tend to like hyper focus on certain things in my normal content. And I have some things pre-built because if I just absolutely showed you every single little iterative thing I do through the whole movie, could be 4 hours long. I'm not going to do that. So here's all the shapes in general. Now we have the shading for if I move this here, this is for the teal, and we have the shading here. This is for the blue. We can move the blue down here. This color is the green, so if we move the green down here, and I want to go ahead and select the green, go to color, click on CMYK, we'll bring this down to like 26, half the yellow, and then we're going to do 15 or so here. Add this, double click, turn into global. Then we could, well, we'll color it afterwards. Let's just focus on creating the shading value for each of these. So we'll do that, go here. Half of this is about 12, 50. Again, I think right around 15. We might be able to lighten that since it's a lighter color overall. But we'll try that first. On this, since it's the white of the eyes, we're just going to use the blue, but I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a tint of probably, we'll try 20 to begin with. We might increase that a bit. And that will go down. So we have the base color, shadow color, highlight color. But, well, this isn't really a highlight color. This is the shadow on the whites of the eyes. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to clone it. And we'll go ahead and unite it. So it's a compound path. Select the two shadow shapes we drew out. Unite those. Turn those into compounds. Select this. Go intersect. And now we can color that shadow color for the whites of the eyes, as you see there. We'll take this, clone it, select the bottom shadow, intersect it. Oh, one of these is a group. Oh, because we have this little anchor in here. This is where with AI, you would think they'd have AI integrated into their own software. So it'd say, well, it would be able to say, okay, just get rid of that anchor. And now if we select it, it still says it's a group. So let's ungroup it, select the eye, and go intersect. It's still saying it. Let's go like this. Just one anchor point prevents it from working. This, okay, now it shouldn't do it. Okay, there we go. And we'll color this with our color here, and we'll go down to blend mode, go multiply. That might be a little muddy for that. So this is where I go back and maybe go 10. I think that looks better. Like that. And by the way, I have F8 set up so I can deselect, especially when I'm zoomed in like this. There's none of the background I can click on. If I click here, I'm actually selecting the blue. You know, I can barely see the desktop basically over here, and I can click on that to deselect. But when I'm this close to something, I usually go F8 and it deselects everything. So it just makes the process go faster. So I'm going to select this, clone it, Command C, Command F, select this, go intersect. Oh, looks like this is also grouped. Let's ungroup it. Yep, we have a couple anchors. And let's go intersect. And on this one, we can select the base color, which is the yellow, and then we can make a tint. So you can decide how intense you want it. You want it 40, maybe you want it 55, like that. That just depends on what you're after. So we have the highlight, we have that. We can go here, clone this, select the shadow, intersect it. Boy, a lot of these have, get rid of that. Got a couple, select that, intersect it. We'll go to the shading value we created, which is this. And we'll go to blend mode, multiply. I think that looks pretty good. Get rid of those so it's no longer a group. Select this, intersect it. We can sample the color we have set for the other shapes with that shading. And that's how I would create the shading on this. Actually, let's go ahead and do the highlights for this eye. And then I'm going to go into time-lapse and do the rest of it so you don't have to sit here and watch the same thing over and over and over again. So we'll go here. I'll select the color we've been using. I just want a highlight to be here. And want a highlight to be here. That's a compound. That's a compound. Clone those. Those are just F3 I'm hitting. So if I want to make a clone of this, I don't go Command C, you know, like this, and then Command F, paste in front, like this, and that will give you a copy. I actually have a keyboard shortcut that does those two commands and then brings to front, does 3 commands in one button push. So I can select this and go F3, boom, it's there. That's why I use keyboard shortcuts. I've been using these keyboard shortcuts for 23 plus years now. Goes back to freehand days even. I was using it in freehand for 15. So we're talking, what is that, 37 years I've been using keyboard shortcuts. So figure out keyboard shortcuts. I have a video on this channel called Creating with Keyboard Shortcuts. I give you a chapter from my book, how to set them up, record them. Watch that movie and figure out what you do on a routine basis and make it a keyboard shortcut. Over the course of a career, you're going to save an ungodly amount of hours. So it really does help the creative process. So we'll take this, intersect it. Oh, looks like we have, is this a group? Yep. So let's ungroup it like that. Select this, go intersect. And again, on this one, we can go to the color itself and we can set this as a tint. So you decide how intense you want that highlight. Since it's in the eye, I don't think it makes sense having it really highlighted, but I think it's kind of in an area that would be a little less available to light. So you would do something like that. So I'd select this one. Oop, moved it. Select those two, intersect. Again, we can go to here and set the intensity. This one would be on the bottom. I think it'd get a little more light, so we could set it for something like this. And actually, if we wanted a hotspot on here, we could draw something out with the blob brush on the eye like that. And we could even color it white, and that way it would match the aesthetic like that. So that's how, and I would put these highlights on, well, I will put them on the outside border, but for all these shapes, it would have highlights for this. Now, once you establish highlights and shading for any of these given shapes and colors, well, as soon as you get to another shape with that color, it's easy just to sample it and apply it to the other shape. So from this point, I'm going to use Timelapse just to do all the detailing. And I'm only going to stop if there's something I thought I should say or show. But for the most part, it's probably just going to be Timelapse until I can show you all the shading in place, and we'll pick it up from that point. Okay, so I think I have all the highlights and shadings done for this design. But the process isn't hard to draw out. Even if all I'm using is a mouse. So if you want to do this, you don't need to have a tablet. You don't need to have a Wacom tablet, that is, or even you can kind of do this with Illustrator on the iPad, so you can use your Apple Pencil if you wanted to. But if I remember right, like compared to how Fresco works, it doesn't work that great. I consider Illustrator on the iPad, and somebody just asked me this previous week, well, why don't you use Illustrator on the iPad? Because it's not truly Illustrator on the iPad. It's Illustrator Lite at best. And I really don't like how their blob brush works on there. It doesn't work as good as it does on the native desktop app, like not even close. So that's why I don't use that. So on this design, we stuck with this blue, but I'm still not completely sure if I want this to be blue. I'm gonna try something here really quick. I have another color here. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that doesn't look that doesn't look good at all. Let's try. Oops, wrong one. Let's try. No, I don't like that either. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try making it purple, but I'm going to change this purple quite a bit. Maybe go darker. I almost said I want a lighter dark purple. That doesn't make any sense either. Um, nah, you know what? I think I'm just going to stick with the blue I had because I think the contrast works better. Then again, the black probably wouldn't look that bad either now. I like the black too. So it just depends. The more I look at this, I might just leave it black. So, there's a lot of fun stuff you could do with this. Like if you wanted this to work on, let's say, you want to do a sticker or whatever, this would make a great sticker. It'd be pretty easy to work with. If I go to keyline view, you can see all it is just those hand-drawn vectors using the blob brush, but it's an easy methodology. I encourage you to just do a little doodle. You could even do the line work if you didn't have a pin brush, a brush pin that is. You could even attempt to do the line work using the blob brush in Illustrator. It's probably not going to give you as easy results. That'd be a lot to do with the mouse, I think, but I just thought this might be interesting content that you would enjoy watching. Hopefully we'll be back to normal next week. It's just I've been super busy. Got inundated, so that's a good thing, not complaining, but hopefully you enjoyed this. And thank you for watching. Again, I don't have any notes, so I appreciate all those who post comments when I post content or ask questions. That's always fun. You guys give me the ideas, so I always enjoy that. So if you have an idea of something you'd like me to focus on specifically, just use either the email in the description below this movie. There's a listing there where you can send an email to me. That'll go to the People of Process inbox on my end and suggest what you want. Oh, I just noticed I did forget two shapes right up here. There you go. See, I'm not paying attention. So let's do those last couple ones here. Don't know how I missed those, but we'll figure it out. So we'll do the shadow one here. Something like that. And the highlight would just rim the top here. Get rid of the inside. Here's something that's interesting. I'm not sure why it does this. It's not a problem. It's just I don't understand why it does this. And I've been using Illustrator for 23 years, and I don't even get why it does certain things. If I make a copy of this shape, bring it to the front, make another copy. So I have just two of these copies sitting on top now. If I select this one and you go to your appearance, you'll say Mix Objects. That means one of them's probably a group. But if I select this, it does say a group, but when I first select it, it didn't say it was a group. So because it's a group, we have to ungroup it, deselect, and then you can see a couple anchor points and delete them. Then it will work the way it should, in this case, to intersect to get that shape trimmed. Again, if I select this shape down here, okay, this one's obviously a group because it does say group. So I usually check, but sometimes it'll still do it. So if I go like that, we have a couple anchors. Get rid of those. Oops, oops, oops. Yes, I know. Wrong tool. Select these two and go intersect. Now we have the shadowing, and I can just go down and sample the shadow from another shape and the highlight value from the other shape. And we'll do the last one, which is right here. We'll use this color. So I want this just to be kind of like that. And then we'll get the rim color up here. I don't like that. Let's do that one over. This one I just barely want a sliver at the top. Okay, something like that. Get rid of the inside ones. So both of these, if I select this, you can see it just says a compound path, which I'm not sure why it says that. If I select this one, it says a compound path. Okay, fine. Compound path. Take this, copy it twice because we'll use it for the top and bottom. Select this, and when I do it, it says mixed objects. I'm going, well, wait a minute. It didn't say it was a group, but if I select it now, it still says this is a compound and this is a path. Okay, that's fine. This will still work, but if any one of those mixed objects is like a group and a path or a group and a compound, it won't work. It's because group's a different state and it causes issues. So if you go like this, it says mixed attributes. Well, what are the mixed attributes? Well, this is just a path. Just think of vector path with the fill color. This is a group. So if I select both of these and I go intersect, you're going to get an error that shows up like this. Because for whatever reason in their logic of vector artwork, you can't do this with a group. I don't know why. I don't completely understand why, but select this, go ungroup. That's F6 for me. So it now changes it to mixed object, deselect the primary shape, and you'll find something like this, a stray anchor. So that one anchor is causing that issue. Why it can't be smart enough, just ignore that and fulfill the Pathfinder request. I don't know. That's how I'd like to see him to use AI instead of trying to do our work. Just an idea. Okay, select these, select this, and go intersect. So we have those two. I'll go down to this shape, highlight, or select the highlight color, go down here, select the dark color, the shadow color, like that. Boom, I'm done. This design's done. Now I'm vacillating. I don't know if black or if we go with blue. I think I do ultimately like the blue best. So that's the end of this. So thank you again for watching People of Process. I hope there's some information in this content for this week that you find useful, that you might be able to put to use in something that's for your own client or just a personal project that you enjoy doing. As always, thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. And I hope this content truly does help you improve your own creative process.